Alaba Shemel Shah, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee.
Because all the blessings that we're going to get, which is entailing the kingdom of heaven. Isaiah the 60th chapter, I'm going to start at the 10th verse and read on down. It says, and the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. So the sons of strangers, that's talking about the actual strangers, the other nations, shall build up thy walls. We're going to have them in slavery. So they're going to be building the kingdom of heaven, because we're not building nothing. We're not lifting a hand to move nothing. It says, for in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually, they shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles. That's talking about the actual Gentiles. We're going to take all of their substance, and that their kings may be brought.
And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee.
Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish, yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. Verse 13. And the glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, the box together to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. So the land of Israel, the land of Jerusalem, is going to be made glorious. It's going to be made glorious once again. The kingdom is going to be built up. We had a taste of that during the time of Solomon's reign, which was for about 40 years. Verse 14, the sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the sole of thy feet. And they shall call thee the city of the Lord. The word Zion means monument, the monument of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. Thou shall also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shall suck the breast of kings, meaning we're going to take all their substance. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord thy power, the Lord and thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. For brass I will bring thee gold, and for iron I will bring thee silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. And I will make thy officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders, but thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise. The sun shall no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee, but the Lord shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and the power thy glory. The sun shall no more go down, meaning our kingdom is not going to go down. In other words, once we get back in power, we're going to be in power forever. The sun is never going to go down on our kingdom again. The sun is never going to set on our kingdom. We're going to always shine, and we're going to always be in that glory once we get into the kingdom of heaven. There's no more going back into slavery under the other nations. Esau's not going to rise back up and put us in captivity. Ham, Japheth, Ishmael, none of the other nations are going to rise up and take us down ever again. When we get on top this time, we're going to remain on top. Neither shall thy moon withdraw itself, for the Lord shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended. So no more mourning, no more crying, no more vexation of spirit, no more weeping, no more hopelessness because of the condition that we're in as Israelites right now. Verse 21, thy people also shall be all righteous, they shall inherit the land forever. The branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. Verse 22, a little one shall become 1,000. This is in the kingdom. So what is this talking about? We're going to have sex. Again, like I said, the 2/3 that are going to pass in this destruction, the 2/3 are going to come back to the 1/3 that make it. 2/3 shall be cut off and die, and the third will I bring through the fire. It says, a little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, the Lord, will hasten it in his time.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his young brothers, in peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right. And what I want to get into this morning, morning news and prophecy. All right. Dealing with this concept of collective consciousness. All right. And in thy forehead, because as we know, according to prophecy, dealing with the MOTB. All right. The two places on the body that I mentioned. Okay, is the hands, the left and the right hands, and the forehead. Okay, and what we see happening, real time as we speak, as the devil is rolling out technology, okay, to go under the skin, okay, which is the RFID microchip. All right, he has the RFID microchip to go into the hand. All right, and he's going into this Neuralink, to go into your forehead. Okay. And he also has, microchips to go into the forehead. So this devil, all the technology that our forefathers, spoke about in the prophecies, all that technology exists, because our forefathers, Isaiah, Jeremiah, okay, Joel, they spoke about those missiles, okay, before they were invented. Now that technology exists, you see, now the technology to fulfill, okay, the prophecy concerning those arrows, okay, the heavens rolled up like a scroll, which is the mushroom cloud from the missile exploding. You see, now all this technology exists, all right, and it's active. What John the Revelator is seeing, he's seen transhumanism, he's seen people merging with this devil's technology, man. Okay, the RFID chip, the Neuralink, he's seen these things, man. Okay, so we're in the time of all things being fulfilled because now all technology exists. Okay, information shall increase, knowledge shall run to and fro. Well, the internet, okay, the unicorn, speaking of the internet, the net is cashed out. Speaking of the internet, all these things now exist and are functioning, okay, for the fulfillment of prophecy, man. Okay, and what we have to understand, what we're seeing with the devil, because we're going to go into this concept of collective consciousness, okay, and this is nothing new. Ancient, okay, empires, have tried to incorporate collective consciousness of the masses, man. All right, and that's why we always go here. So I want to get some accounts and the precepts, some accounts and a few precepts dealing with, the concept of collective consciousness, and then we're going to go into a video. I got something pulled up on chat as well, So I brought out we get into all of it, and it's edifying. So let's go here. Let's start off here with Ecclesiastes chapter 1. Okay, and 9, and we'll read it in the NLT as well. This is Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. It says, the thing that have been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. Okay, So the things that we seeing playing out under the sun, which is in the earth, scriptures speak about under the sun. It's talking about within the planet Earth, man, which is under the sun. Okay. So what we're seeing playing out in the earth is no new thing. Okay. The devil just has more technology. Esau Edom, he just has more reach, to take it farther than any other heathen. All right. But it doesn't mean that he's going to pull it off. Okay. So when you go here in the NLT real quick, Ecclesiastes 1 and 9 in the NLT said, history merely repeats itself. It has all been done before. Nothing under the sun is truly new. Nothing under the sun is truly new. So what we're seeing, all right, is an old concept, okay, just with new technology, man. All right. Esau is just the latest to try to pull off what he's trying to do with his technology, man, with this new world order. Okay. So let's go back to Genesis. Okay, as we go to Genesis 11. Okay, so here is you get what? Universal language. You see Bible confusion. Okay, so when you go to Genesis 11 and 1, it says, and the whole earth was a one language and a one speech. And this is what the devil is trying to get everything back to. See, Esau Edom is trying to revise the Tower of Babel. It's just digital, technological now. Okay, he wants the whole earth of one language, one mindset, all right, in complete rebellion against the Most High. Okay, he wants the world to agree with him in his rebellion against the Most High. Okay, this is the system that he's herding people into is bigger than buying and selling. Buying and selling will just be an indicator of this technology. Okay, but ultimately, this man wants people to be on one accord with this rebellion that he's on. Okay, it says, and the whole earth was a one language and a one speech. And it came to pass that they journeyed from the east, and they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone and slime, all right, had they for mortar. So they was going into what? The infrastructure. They was getting ready to build the infrastructure, okay, for their ideology. Okay, Esau is building the infrastructure for his ideology, man. Okay, this is what we're seeing, with technology, is that this devil, he's building out his infrastructure, okay, based on the ideology of rebelling against the Most High, of replacing the Most High, okay, with human wisdom, with human understanding, with human authority. Okay, this is what we're seeing from this guy, man. Okay, so let's go back to Genesis 11 and 4. Okay, and it says, and they said, go and let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad among the face of the whole earth. And they were doing this to avoid being flooded out. Okay, in their mind, they was going to build infrastructure that was going to allow them to continue to do what they want to do, but not have to deal with the punishment from the Most High. Okay, this is straight rebellion. Okay, because they understood the flood and why it came. In their mind, well, we're going to sidestep the judgment of the Most High, and we're going to build this tower where we can still do what we want to do. Okay, and have a refuge from, all right, the judgment from on high. Okay, so this is what the devil is doing, this technology. He's trying to tap into merging man with technology to where, look, you don't have to abide by the rules, okay, of the Most High. We got a way to where you can still be blessed. We can bless you. Okay, we can sidestep the Most High with technology, man. Okay, and that's been the concept of this devil's rulership, okay, since the beginning. You see? And the Lord came down to see the city and tower which the children of men, okay, build it. And the Lord said, behold, this people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do, go and let us, okay, go down and there confound their languages that they may not understand one another's speech, man. So the Most High broke that up. You know, he sent those angels to confound the speeches of men to break up their project, man, their enterprise. Okay? And this time, he's going to do it by the way of Yahweh Shai. He's going to send Yahweh Shai to come and break up, okay, this enterprise, this project that Esau Edom has going in the earth, man, this rebellion. Okay, he says, so the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. They couldn't finish it. Okay, Esau, he's not going to be able to pull this off, man. Okay, Yahweh Shai is coming with judgment. He's coming with fire. This time, Yahweh Shai is going to burn, all right, this technological tower about. Okay, but this devil, he's going to be confounded, disappointed. Okay, he's going to go into confusion. You see? So he's not going to be able to pull this thing off, man. Okay? And he's, you know, beating his chest and, you know, making it seem as if he's just, you know, two screws and a nail away from pulling this off, man. But he's, all right, not going to be able to achieve this, man, because it's not written. Okay? We serve a righteous power, and he's going to come with righteous judgment, man. Okay? In the right time. Okay? So let's go here. I think that's in Proverbs. Let me see if I can find this. Go into the eyes of a king, scattered away evil. Let's see. Yep, this is Proverbs 20:8. Okay. Let's get this Proverbs 20:8. Oh, it's like, yep, it says Proverbs 28 says, a king that sitteth in the throne of judgment scattered away all evil with his eyes. A king that sitteth in the throne of judgment scattered away all evil with his eyes. Okay, so Yahweh Shai is their king, and he's coming to judge on their throne, their chariot. Okay, Yahweh Shai is going to bring his throne from the spiritual realm to this realm, and he's going to scatter. He's going to break up. Okay, this evil empire, man, ran by Esau Edom. Okay, we know the eyes of the Lord, what the angels. Okay, the chariots, man. So it says a king, Proverbs 28, a king that sitteth in the throne of judgment, scattered away all evil with his eyes. Okay, and you read Revelation. Let's go here. And that judgment seat is going to be that chariot, man. Yahweh Shai is going to come condemn, all right, this society. You know, when Yahweh Shai comes into this realm, it's going to be to deliver the elect. All right, and Lord will we be on those chariots as he's condemning this place, man. Okay, Revelation 20:11, it says, and I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. You see that? You see a king on his throne scattereth evil. You see? So when Yahweh Shai returns, man, it's going to break up this current rulership. Okay? And it's going to judge this place, and it's going to burn up this infrastructure, man. Okay? And there's no place for rulership found for this devil. When Yahweh Shai returns, that's the end of this man's rulership. Okay? The split second Yahweh Shai shows up, that's the end of Esau's rulership, man. Okay? That's going to be that transition. That's going to complete the transition, because we in the midst of the transition of power now. Okay? So let's go from there. I want to get this as well. Let's get this in the book of First Maccabees. Okay? Because the two main examples of the heathen trying to establish, you know, a new world order, you know, was under Nimrod. Okay? which was a Cushite, a Hamite, okay, and then Antiochus, which was an Edomite, a Greek, and then which there was Amalek, right? The Greeks during the time of Maccabees, they were descendants of Amalek. Philip the Macedonian goes back to Haman the Macedonian. Okay, Haman goes back to who? Agag, the king of Amalek. When you trace these devils, through the scriptures. All right. So let's go here to real quick to First Maccabees. We always get it. And then after the video, we'll tie this in, with something I looked up on the chat. Now let's go First Maccabees chapter 1. Let's see. All right, this is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 41. And it said, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. And there you go, from the door. Okay, and eventually this devil Esau, he's going to make, it mandatory, to get this technology, man. And that's him, demanding his whole kingdom to be one people. Okay, so Antiochus made a mandate, which Esau, he's working his way to making this C-hip a mandate. You see? So going back, it says, verse 42 says, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. And see, all these heathens are in agreement with this one world order. Okay, now they're not in agreement how America is moving, which is going to lead these nations to take America off the map. You see, these nations, the Lord going to use these nations to take America off the board. Okay, but as we speak right now, they're in agreement of this one world order. That's why they're already going digital. All right, we always speak on China and India, even Russia. They're more digital than America, man. Okay, especially China and India, man, which is 1/3 of the world's population. And then they plan on deleting, a major part of the world's population according to those Georgia Guidestones, man. Verse 43 says, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profane the Sabbath, man. So you're going to have, our people that's going to get caught up in it because this C-hip is an idol. Okay, this is the ultimate submitting to an idol. As matter of fact, you're making an alliance with a great rebellion against Yahweh Shema Shai, you Israelites, man. That's why there's no coming back. Okay, if you take this idol, if you bend the knee to this new world order, you accept that idol, man. That's the highest form of treachery that you can do as an Israelite, man. Okay, so I want to get into this video real quick. All right, and then we'll come back with some more. So let's play this. Let me fast forward a little bit. All right. So this is what these devils are on, man. Esau got a lot going on because he got a lot to get done. You see, the pressure is on Esau. All right. Time is against this nigga, man. Okay. So what we're going to see, this man, he's going to get real, frantic, in how he move. Okay. Prepare for the devil. All right. To push more chaos. Okay. Because the solution is this new world order system, man. All right. And to participate in the system, you're going to have this device. So this devil, he got, war. He doing coups. He want to attack this nation, that nation. He want to, reconquer, South America again. And, he's all over the place, man. Okay. Because time is not with this devil, man. Okay. So he got a lot going on. So this is this devil's all right, pushing towards this technology, man, which this technology is going to govern his new world order. Okay, so let's play this.
For an uprising.
Welcome, everyone, to the Hive Mind Nation channel. Elon Musk on New Year's Eve tweeted this out, that Neuralink will start high-volume production of brain-computer interface devices and move to a streamlined, almost entirely automated surgical procedure in 2026. Device threads will go through the dura without the need to remove it. This is a big deal. So there's going to be high volume production of Neuralink's brain computer interface. And no, do not think that this is just being produced for people out there who suffer from things like ALS or are unable to speak or are suffering from neurological disabilities likely brought on from the vaccine, that it's just going to be created to help them with these problems. Because remember, Elon Musk, as I've told everybody a million times, is openly on the record talking about how brain-computer interfaces, which is what Neuralink is, are going to be the future smartphones. Smartphones themselves will be obsolete, and brain-computer interfaces will replace them. So in a society, again, that relies heavily on phones, you can't go anywhere without seeing someone on their phone. Almost everywhere you go, you have to bring up a code on your phone, to bring up a menu at a restaurant, to get into a sports stadium. So you're going to need your phone, right, to survive in their society that they're building around us, which we're all a part of. You're going to need a phone, but if the phone goes obsolete, what do you think is going to happen? The whole system's going to shut down? No. You're going to be integrated into brain-computer interfaces. So mass production of this is moving forward in 2026, and people need to be aware because this is all about the collective consciousness. Elon Musk overly tweets and overly talks about his obsession with the collective consciousness. Now, what do people think of collective consciousness?
We're going to get into this, dealing with this collective consciousness and link it back to the scriptures, man. Linking back to these accounts. Linking back to these accounts in the scripture dealing with Nimrod and Antiochus or Antiochus, Epiphanes, man. Okay, so we're gonna link these things together, but this devil, he's mass producing, this technology because these things are finna be mandatory. Okay, and then the government is bought and paid for. As you're going to see, the FDA, all right, is approving this technology, man, because they're bought and paid for. Okay, nothing about this government is about your safety or your benefit in any type of way. Okay, everybody's on board. Okay, and everyone has their marching orders for rolling out this new world order system, man. Okay, this digital enslavement. Okay.
I mean, do you think that it just means everybody gets along with one another? It is a hive mind. It is oneness, a one consciousness collective. Here he is tweeting out other things. Because it consists of billions of bidirectional interactions per day, Twitter can be thought of as a collective cybernetic super intelligence. As he mentioned several years ago, it increasingly appears that humanity is a biological bootloader for digital super intelligence. As I've broken down many times, and all those videos are available on the website. What he's referring to as a bootloader is that they're going to put their software inside of your body. Okay, so you're going to be like the computer, but the computer doesn't run without the software. Their software that they're going to put inside of you, and then, of course, use that software to control you and mold you and create a collective consciousness. What else has he said? He said creating a neural lace is the thing that really matters for humanity to achieve symbiosis with machines. It is increasingly likely that AI will superset the intelligence of any single human by the end of 2025 and maybe all by 2027 and 2028. And remember, when we see AI now in front or chat,
and they're constantly pushing the narrative that AI is outpacing humans, so you're going to have to merge with this technology to keep up. Okay, so they're pushing that narrative too. All right, that if you don't merge with this technology, well, you're not going to be able to compete in society. Okay, so that's another narrative he's going to run with, all right, to persuade many, take this device, man. You know, if a brother want to post that in Second Ezra chapter 5, verses 1 and 2, Baba Kashaf. Okay, so let's play some more.
Okay, it's not very advanced. I mean, it says a lot of stupid things if you ask it questions. It stumbles on a lot of answers. It gets a lot of things wrong. This is to condition you into AI. So you're not fearful of AI yet, but the AI that DARPA has, the AI that's built and ready to go, is far, far advanced and far superior to what we're actually allowed to see. They just want you to play around with it, get used to it, get accustomed to it, so that when they roll it out, you're not intimidated by it. You don't reject it. Because otherwise, people would reject this. They're hearing on the outside about AI taking our jobs, AI killing off humanity. Then they play with ChatGPT and they're like, oh, AI is not going to replace us. AI is stupid. I asked it a question, it gave me the wrong answer. All right, that's all ploy. That's a mind control tactic that they're
But even with that, it's still an item, all right? And I don't care how advanced his AI gets. If you unplug the data center, it's done. Okay, if you detach his AI from the data center, it's over with. Okay, the AI couldn't operate in the power outage. Go down if you get to AGI, artificial general intelligence, ASI, artificial super intelligence. Okay, if the powers go out, it's over with. Okay, so it's still limited. Okay, and it's still an idle. All right, and you unplug them data centers, they done. Okay, well, of course, the devil has a form of tech, form of this AI that we don't have access to. It's far more advanced. Okay, and as he begins to roll these things out, it's going to fool the masses, man. You know, those lying wonders. You see, that's why the brother got this the water to this brother. All right, it's the brother Remnant loyal to Yahushua, the water again, bro. Second Ezra 5:1 said, nevertheless, as concerning the tokens, behold, the days shall come that they which dwell upon earth shall be taken in great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden. Okay, because it's another thing. This devil, he's getting ready to censor this truth. You know, as brothers already have been putting videos. I know the elder brother, the elder brother out there in New York. Okay, One Gabar. Okay, GMS Awakening 144. Okay, he did a video about the brothers in Chicago. You know, the brother did a Spanish speaking video, and Esau used the AI to change it to English, and he changed the name from Yahweh to Yahweh. Okay, using AI. So we know that's just a token of where we at, because the Lord not finna allow, all right, this word to be defiled by AI, man. So this devil is already, beginning to prick and play, okay, with brothers' videos, man. All right, this lets us know how close we are. Okay, and as we see, this technology is increasing. We're seeing war is increasing. All right, the atmosphere for civil unrest is brewing. So everything is right here, man. Okay, the recipes for all prophecy to be fulfilled, all right, is in the pot, man, and it's being stirred. Okay, it's reaching that boiling point. All right, and it says, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land. It says, and the land shall be barren of faith. So many people are going to be taken by this technology, man. All right, he's gradually getting people hooked to this, man. People are addicted to AI, man. Making these prompts, making these videos, all right, making Michael Jackson, do trap soul, and see, people are addicted to these things, man. Okay, you're able to have AI as your accountant. AI can do your inventory, keep your books. Okay, so you can outsource work to AI as assistant, secretary. People, They're getting addicted to this technology, man. So he's creating a demand, all right, for more advanced AI, and he already has it. Okay, so as he continues to drop more technology on people, man, all right, people are going to be in awe, and people are going to be more addicted. Okay, so this is the gradualism that we're seeing. Okay, it says, "And the land shall be barren of faith." You see, because the only thing people are going to believe in is this technology and what's in front of them. Okay, but when it comes to faith in Yahweh Bashim Al Shah, there's only a small remnant that's going to have that in this time, man. Okay, he said, "But iniquity shall be increased above that which thou seest, and that thou hast heard long ago," man, because the earth is just going to get more lawless. Okay, it's going to be more degenerate. It's going to become more wicked until the time of judgment, man. Because this is a straight rebellion against Yahweh Bashim Al Shah. This is a pure rebellion we're seeing, man. Okay, let's read this. Is the brother GMS, pray always hope for elect, the brother Kwanawa. All right, it's GMS. It's like this is 2 Thessalonians 2:9 in the NLT. Said this man will come to do the work of Satan with counterfeit power and signs and miracles, man. And it's all counterfeit power, man. Okay, well, he's going to present it, all right, as if it's a God, like the AI is God-like. The AI is nowhere near the Most High, nowhere near. Okay, how much he hype it up, it's nowhere near the Most High, man. It's AI, all right, but he's going to present it like it's a God, okay, and it's going to impress and have the masses in awe, okay, because they're going to be taken. You see, because the scripture speak about, those that were not written in the Lamb Book of Life, they was given over to worship the beast in Revelation 13, man. Okay, 2 Thessalonians 2:10 say he will use every kind of evil deception to fool those on their way to destruction because they refuse to love and accept the truth that will save them. And this is speaking to you Israelites, because only Israelites can be saved. Okay, so a lot of Israelites are going to fall into, the deception of this man's technology. Okay, his miracles and lying wonders, man. Okay, and they're going to be out of there. You see? So let's play this some more.
Successful X will evolve to be the collective consciousness of humanity, or more accurately, the human machine collective. Okay, and this is not about what you're about to see here, which is another story. Okay, this is the story. This is what they released you. This is to condition you. They put this stuff in the news to condition you into accepting this tech so there's no pushback. If they came out, again, they told you, hey, we just built this, it's going to murder you. It showed up at your door and killed your neighbor. The people would rise. The people would get pitchforks. The people would get all sorts of, the people would band together as the real one, with a real oneness. Everybody would say, hey, humanity first, machines and all this, the people who are actually dividing us, let's get rid of them. But no, they have to do it this way, right? So there's a story. Neuralink provides Austin man wings after ALS diagnosis. This is from a couple of weeks ago. As you've seen over the years, I've covered all of the characters, all of the people that they've shown us who have mental disabilities, who have things like ALS. And the hero, the savior of it all is the Neuralink, is the brain-computer interface. This is how it's being marketed to you. Remember when watching this clip, remember Bible verses about false Christs, false prophets. Okay, great signs and wonders, right? Matthew chapter 24, verse 24. For false Christs and false prophets will arise and perform great signs and wonders so as to lead astray, if possible, even the elect. In Revelation chapter 16, verse 14, for they are demonic spirits.
And the elect are Israelites, You see, but you see how only the talking points of the prophets make sense. Okay, because Esau, he's the biggest anti-Messiah is. He's the biggest false prophet. Of course, like I said, you got your General Yohanas and Captain Tazariacs and, the Genesis guys. They're false prophets as well. Okay, but Esau Edom, he's the false prophet. Okay, and his technology, all right, are working, these false miracles, man. Okay, and it's tacky. We're going to go into it too. This is tacky. And this is the devil. This is how he's going to present, okay, this technology to the world as if it's for the advancement of humanity. Because here, he's trying to present himself like Yahushua, because Yahushua was healing the lame, the sick. Okay, this is what Yahushua was doing. You see? So he's presenting this technology as if it's a replacement for Yahushua. You see? So the biggest, false prophet, okay, is this goddamn devil, man. Let's see what's going on here. But yeah, I think that's in if a brother could post that in I think that Daniel 8:25. By peace he shall deceive many, which they were speaking of Antiochus, during that time. Okay, let's see. Well, I believe that's Daniel 8:25. And the blue letter shut down over here. Hold on. I just reopened it. But I'm gonna let this play some more, then I find that. But if a brother find that, post it. I believe it's Daniel 8:25. So let's play this some more.
God the Almighty. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9, the coming of the lawless one is by the activity of Satan with all power and false signs and wonders. In Mark chapter 13, verse 22, for false Christs and false prophets will arise and perform signs and wonders to lead astray, again, if possible, the elect. Watch this story and make sure you come back afterwards, because I want you to see how this is working on people. Because you hear this, and I know how you're going to respond, right? Which is, again, one of the reasons that I'm trying to build new channels is to reach new people, because I don't want to be in an echo chamber with just people who are awake. We want to pull people out of the matrix. We want to wake them up so they can understand what is going on here. Okay. There are people out there who think that this is wonderful. You probably don't know that, because we're all sitting here and we're like, this is insane. No way people are going to be on board, but they will be, because it all matters how it's marketed to them to get them to accept it in our society first. And then from there, of course, they're told that they're going to be left behind unless they augment with machine, and they start getting these devices, because it's making these people who are disabled, it's making them back to feeling human again. It's helping them live normal lives, and it's making regular people just as smart as computers, and then they're not going to take their jobs from them, right? So here is the story again, another story that they're putting out there by design to get you to accept the Neuralink and not say, hey, this should be outlawed, this should be illegal, we shouldn't have this type of tech, this is demonic, this is sick, we don't need this in our world. Well, they got to get you accepted first, which is why they use these characters to come on here and tell you that they're being cured from all these diseases by this technology.
It's a disease that affects 30,000 Americans each year. ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, destroys a patient's ability to control their muscles. It is devastating and has no known cure. But now a tiny device is giving people hope, restoring their connection to the world and their families. KXAN's Eric Hendrickson spoke with a South Austin man who is only the 7th person in the world to use this technology, Neuralink.
It felt like I got wings and I was able to fly, because ALS takes so much away from you, and Neuralink gave something back to me.
Jake Schneider's life was upended after a muscle twitch in his arm.
I kind of put it off for 6 to 8 months because it really wasn't bothering me, but it was a constant twitch.
The father of a 2-year-old son went from doctor to doctor, learning in 2022 that he had ALS.
I had just built this house, like we had moved in 3 months prior.
Symptoms developed slowly, weakness in his hands, legs growing unstable. Today, he uses an electric wheelchair to move around his home.
ALS is a neurodegenerative disease, and in simple terms, that the neurons in our body start degenerating.
Dr. Yesar Hussein is the director of the National Neuromuscular Research Institute.
Because the mechanism is not yet clear why the disease happened. The treatment is really not great.
Earlier this year, a news report got Jake's attention. Neuralink, one of Elon Musk's companies, had successfully installed a chip in a quadriplegic's brain, giving that patient control of a cursor on his computer.
I found myself kind of in the camp where where I had nothing else left to lose.
Jake signed up for a medical trial and became the 7th Neuralink recipient in the world. Musk shared the news on his X account. The device, size of a quarter, implanted into Jake's brain using a robot.
They tell you how it's going to work, and in your mind, you can't really compute what that means. But when you sit down for the first time and are able to control this cursor, it's a feeling like something you can't describe.
Minutes after surgery, Jake moved the cursor on the screen.
You imagine your hand on a mouse moving left, up, down, right.
Using an app on his laptop,
Lake, cursor on.
Jake can surf the web, type messages, and even play with his son using a new gamepad function.
I'm actually able to hook my son's Nintendo Switch to the TV and play Mario Kart with him.
He participates in the development of this tech, working with the Neuralink team each day.
Our daily sessions are all online, so we'll spend a couple hours stress testing different models.
The device is not without its critics.
The long-term effects have not been studied since it's only been a little bit over a year since the first patients received the implants.
Camille Perez is an undergrad at Princeton University. Her recent article, published in the Princeton Medical Review, explored ethical concerns with the device and its development, which involved accusations of animal cruelty.
A lot of people are excited about the clinical trials, but when you're playing with human health, it's a little scary.
This is very early, so we don't know what happened after a few years, 5 years.
Dr. Hussein says the device will likely improve over time, and in the process, provide more independence for people like Jake and their families.
You wake up every day and you're like, I wonder what I'm not going to be able to do today. I can't play catch in the backyard with my son anymore. I can't ride a bike with my son anymore. Can't do things that most dads can do with their sons, but I'm able to do things that they can't. You know, I'm able to play video games with my brain, and he thinks that's the coolest thing in the world.
In Austin, Eric Hendrickson, KXAN News.
The life expectancy for someone with ALS is 3 to 5 years once symptoms begin. 10% of cases are genetic, but the cause for the other 90% is unknown.
Early last year, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration cited Neuralink over animal lab issues. Inspectors found problems with record keeping as well as quality controls. In 2022, the U.S. Department of Ag opened an investigation into animal welfare violations. Investigators say they didn't find any violations of its animal research rules.
So again, right?
And those are false miracles, man. Okay, those are false miracles, and they come with all type of side effects. And there's one thing. So the devil, he'll play you. All right, this violin story had a soft piano playing in the background. Okay, and this guy, he's able to play Mario Kart with his son again, like this, just this happily ever after. But that man still not whole. He's still not healed. Okay, when Yahweh Shah was healing, all right, he completely healed the person, and he had to go inside their head with surgery and attach all these wires and put you to these, technology had to assimilate with you. Nah, man, Yahweh Shah had to do all that, man. That's what I'm saying. We shouldn't be oppressed with nothing that these devils got going on, man. All right, it's extremely tacky and low level. Okay, those are times you look at you like, man, this nigga. But then when you really look at it and from the perspective of what Yahweh Shah was doing, this nigga really low level, man. Okay, this is Matthew 4:23 says, and Yahweh Shah went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom, okay, and healing all manner of sickness and all manner of disease among the people. So Yahweh Shai was just healing everything, and they will be healed, okay. You didn't have to pay for this expensive surgery. You didn't have to be on a waiting list, okay. This wasn't no trial, okay. You didn't have side effects later on. You were just healed. You was complete. You was whole. Okay, this man's still in a wheelchair with an implant in his head, man. Okay, so this is a false miracle that this man is pushing as if he's, all right, the Messiah, man. His technology is the Messiah, man. Okay, when Yahweh Shah was healing, people were made whole. All right, that's why it says what? He will heal these people. What will Yahweh Shah say? Okay. It says, Matthew 9:22 says, but Yahushua turned him about, and when he saw her, he said, daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith had made thee whole. You know, she had the issue of blood. And the woman was made whole from that hour. So he would speak healing into existence, man. Okay, and it got to the point, just to show you the Lord's power. Let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 5. Okay, so they became whole. It wasn't partial. Okay, and then you know, Yahushua wasn't working on updates. Okay, he would speak healing into existence, and they will be whole, man. Yahushua was on a far greater level than this goddamn technology, the devil, man. Okay, this nigga is hype. Okay, so this is the book of Acts, chapter 5, verse 15 says, in so much that they brought forth the sick into the streets and laid them on beds and couches, that at the least the shadow of Peter passing by might overshadow some of them. There came also a multitude out of the cities round about of Jerusalem, bringing sick folks, and them which were vexed with unclean spirits, and they was healed every one. So just at the shadow of Peter, just at his shadow, people were being healed. If he walked by his shadow, you know, passed upon you, you will be healed. So people were just laying the sick, you know, and the lame and the people with infirmity, they would just lay them in the path that the apostle Peter was going to be on, and he would just walk by and the shadow was healing them, man. Esau ain't nowhere near that, man. He don't got nowhere near that technology, man. All the shit he got, he don't got nowhere near that, man. Okay? Well, I say, the more I, you know, investigate this nigga, man, the less I'm impressed, man. You know, it's a goddamn hoax this man is pulling off like he's something great. Okay? So let's go from there. I want to get this in the chat real quick. Let's get this in the book of. Well, let's go to the chat, so like, let's get this in the chat. So I asked the chat, I said, could collective consciousness be tied to Nimrod and the Tower of Babel, and also Antiochus in the book of First Maccabees chapter 1? All right, so we went into those accounts. Now it says collective consciousness as a modern lens. In modern terms, collective consciousness usually means a shared mindset or identity. You know, because people identify with being, you know, in America, you know, so they identify with certain holidays, certain music, certain food that's linked to the concept of being American. Okay, it's a collective consciousness. See, this devil, he has this on the loose right now. It's collective conscious, but it's loose. All right, he wants to tighten it down by putting technology in people and getting directly to people's neurological system. Okay, and also setting up a more strict social behavior system. Okay, so he can create this collective conscience of rebellion, because the collective conscience is based on the rebellion. Okay, this is the collective conscience that he wants people to be in, is all our rebellion against the Most High. Okay, it says a shared mindset or identity, common beliefs and values that shape behavior, often reinforced by language, culture, law, and symbols. All right, it says when applied to ancient texts, this is anachronistic, a later concept, but it can still be useful, a useful interpretive lens. It said Nimrod in the Tower of Babel, Genesis 10 and 11. It says key biblical elements. Nimrod is described as a mighty one and founder of an early imperial city. All right, imperial cities, you know, which is like America is like a mighty one in the earth. You know, it represents an empire, man. You know, and you see the collective conscience behind the empire. You see how Americans celebrate, okay, whenever the empire goes out and conquers and takes. Okay, they have a collective country. They feel entitled, just like Esau feels entitled. Americans are entitled. Okay, they're okay with criminal behavior. You see, that's that collective conscience where America celebrates criminals, man. Criminals are glorified. That's a collective conscience. Okay, you look at women. What women are drawn to? What criminals? They got their collective conscience to be drawn to criminals. You see, so this devil, through the media, the music, the movies, he's been putting people on this collective conscience for a while. Okay, well, I say he just wants to take it to a whole nother level with this technology, man. Okay, and it says Babel is about one people, one language, one unified project, a desire to make a name for ourselves, man. And this man wants to make a reputation for himself by trying to pull this off, man. Esau wants to pull this off for clout and a reputation to say he's the first one to do this, man. To bring humanity all under one banner, under one conscience, outside of the Most High. Okay, he wants to make a reputation for himself by doing this. Reading on, it said theological theme. Okay, it says unity. All right, unity oriented towards exaltation, centralized power replacing dependence on the Most High, a shared identity defined apart from divine purpose. Okay, that's why Esau pushes people to try to find an identity outside of their purpose of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. Okay, he removed, men outside the purpose of being, fathers and husbands. He removed women out of the purpose of being wives and mothers. Okay, to where they just operate in this synthetic purpose. That's why, a lot of these jobs in this man's society are synthetic. They're not needed. Okay, and he puts people, okay, in these synthetic purposes like a rapper. Okay, a nigga to play football. Those things are not needed. It's not a true purpose. It's synthetic. Okay, the earth don't need bad bitches, man. The earth need wives and mothers. Okay, fathers and husbands. That's what the earth needs. That's a divine purpose. Okay, so this devil pushes people to find some identity outside of the divine purpose of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. Okay, because he made his sons to be righteous rulers in the earth. Okay, and he made women to be a joyful mother of children. You see, in the keeper of the house. Okay, when you go into the scriptures. All right, but this man has pushed people to define themselves outside of their divine identity, according to the Most High, man, to these synthetic identities, man. Okay, it says connection to collective consciousness. You could reasonably say Babel presents an artificially unified human consciousness. One narrative, one goal, one authority. Humanity attempted to secure meaning, preeminence, and power, all right, with the Most High. And preeminence, all right, means permanent. Permanence, Salaki, means permanent. Okay, so humanity attempted to secure meaning, permanence, and power without the Most High. Okay, permanence and power without the Most High, man. So this devil wants to create a constant state, okay, of people being permanently separated from the Most High, from the order and the instructions and the righteousness of the Most High, man. Okay, the Most High's response confusion languages, fractures the collective identity, and prevents total ideological consolidation, man. He broke that shit up. Okay, and he's going to break it up again. So this time it's going to be in a more violent fashion. Okay, so now you get to Antiochus, okay, Epiphanes, First Maccabees chapter 1. It said, what does, all right, what Antiochus does? It says in First Maccabees chapter 1, Antiochus imposes Hellenistic culture, suppresses Israelite law, forbids circumcision and Torah observance, profanes the temple, enforces uniform practices across peoples, man, collective consciousness, man. Okay, and he wants to do away, all right, because see, Israelite law, okay, is the wisdom of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai in the earth. You know, Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 5 through 8. Okay, there was our wisdom in the sight of the heathen, and it was the wisdom from on high. So he wants to do away with the wisdom of the Most High, okay, and replace it with his wisdom, his science, his technology. Okay, and he wants to profane the temple, which will go inside you with technology. And this time he profaned it, you know, literally, the second temple, you know, with abominable sacrifices, making an altar to Jupiter. You know, you go into the history. Okay, it said this is a coercive unity, not organic culture. Theological theme, Antiochus represents state enforced identity. State enforced identity. All right, erasure or erasing of religious distinctiveness, loyalty to empire replacing loyalty to the Most High. Loyalty to the empire replacing loyalty to the Most High. Okay, what's that? Acts 5 and was that Acts 5 and 30? Let's see, Acts 5 and 30. My brother can post it. 5 and 29. All right. Matter of fact, Acts 5, 28 and 29, Bob Pashah. You know, Acts chapter 5, verse 28 and 29. All right, let's keep reading down. It says, connective, all right, connection to collective consciousness. Here is the collective conscience. Here, the collective consciousness is manufactured through law, violence, and propaganda, designed to overwrite conventional identity, a forced mental, cultural, and spiritual conformity. Okay, and this is what the devil wants to do with this technology, man. You see, and he's going to make these things mandatory. He's pushing propaganda. You know, and eventually it's going to be voluntarily, but then eventually it's going to be through violence, man, through the sword. Okay, because Babel represented humanity choosing unity against the Most High. So voluntarily, a lot of people going to volunteer for this system. Okay, then it's going to get to a point to power forcing unity against the Most High. It's going to be mandates made, and then like that last tier going to be their sword. All right, different mechanisms, same underlying danger. Okay, and you go down. It said the problem is not collective consciousness itself, but who defines it, what it is oriented toward, whether it allows faithfulness to the Most High. Unity aligned with the Most High is life-giving. Unity imposed or pursued instead of the Most High becomes destructive. Okay, because in the kingdom, okay, like the heathen's gonna have to be collective. The collective conscience in the kingdom is gonna be the righteousness of the scriptures. Okay, that's gonna be a righteous collective conscience. All right, this devil is pushing the rebellion. Okay, so let's get some of these that you brothers got. You know, this is let's go back up here to this is on remnant loyal to Yahweh Shai. Okay, this is the book of Daniel chapter 8 Verse 25, it says, and through his policy, and this is speaking of Antiochus Epiphanes directly, okay, and we apply it to this time because the devil is running the same thing again, you know, because he's going to pitch this technology if it's all about helping humanity, okay, so a nigga can play Mario Kart, you know, with his nephew, okay. It says, Daniel 8:25 says, and through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. Okay, the FDA signs off on it, you know, so you think these things are legit because these different government bureaucracies, okay, sign off on it, okay, like they're legit. You see, so but he's causing craft, all right, to prosper in his hand through policy, man. It says, and he shall magnify himself, or he shall magnify himself in his heart and his mind, okay, and by peace shall destroy many, promising peace. I'm just coming to heal. And he shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. Okay, and that's gonna be this devil's fate. You know, Antiochus, he was broken. You know, he was destroyed not by the hands of man, but the Most High. All right, plagued him with a disease, man. You know, the devil rotted out. Okay, and Yahushua is going to be that plague that's going to come, okay, and destroy this man. It's not going to be from this realm. This man's judgment is not going to be from this realm. His judgment is going to come from another realm, okay? And this time, just like it happened to Antiochus, man, that judgment came directly, you know, from another realm, and he was just played, you know? This is the brother Kazak Bun Yahweh, Acts 5:28, saying, did we straightly, I said, did not we straightly, and this one the apostle was teaching Yahushua, it said, did we not straightly command you that you should not teach in this name, the name of Yahushua, showing you that name was potent. And behold, you have filled Jerusalem with all your doctrine and intend to bring this man blood upon us, because they was guilty of the blood of Yahushua. You know, so they was condemned by the teaching of Yahushua, man. It's no different today. These people that are condemned by the teaching of Yahushua, they're guilty of the blood of Yahushua. Just like these guys that it's like it's irksome for them to call on the name of Yahushua. Because I don't know if you brothers notice, there's been an uptick, all right, and these niggas calling on Jesus Christ, man. They're supposed to be Israelites, man. 2026, and it's an uptick in calling on Jesus Christ as they teach, man. Okay? Because Yahushua is irksome, all right, to these wicked niggas, man. Okay, but this the point, verse 29, it says, then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey the Most High rather than men. Okay, so we're not going to be herded into the collective consciousness of rebellion. Okay, that these devils are herding the masses on, man. Okay, so let's go here to Psalms, the 2nd chapter, you know, and get this a lot too. But this is happening in real time. Okay? If you want to hear something new and cute, all right, I'm sure Genesis is cooking up, all right, something, all right, the moonshine of the month as we speak. Okay? When it comes to doctrine. So you want to hear something new and cute, all right, there's plenty of options to choose from. Okay? So let's go here. Let's get an NLT. All right, this is the book of Psalms chapter 2 and verse 1. It said, why are the nations so angry? Why do they waste their time with futile plans? Because this is futile. Okay, this is futile what these devils are trying to pull off. Okay, it's vain. Let's see this word futile. Just a real quick read off the definition. Futile. Okay, it said futile. This quick Google definition. It says it's pointless. It says incapable of producing any useful result. Pointless. Okay, incapable of producing any useful result. Pointless, man. All they goddamn technology, man. Okay, and it's all pointless, man. It's all vain. Useless, man. This man's empire is useless to the earth, worthless. Okay? All this technology and resources and wealth and research and this and that and his kingdom is useless to the earth, man. That's why the Lord's going to erase this empire, man, this evil empire. Okay? It said the kings of the earth prepare for battle, and the rulers plot together against the Lord, Yahweh Bashim al-Shai, and against his anointed one. You know, because they plan to fight the second coming of Yahweh Shai. You know, they've been speaking about the Space Force. You know, I think that was during Trump's first term, he was speaking about the Space Force. Verse 3, it said, let us break their chains. They cry and free ourselves from slavery to the Most High. You see that? They want to operate outside the authority of the Most High. This New World Order is about Esau, okay, hijacking the creation, okay, and making it operate outside the authority of the Most High and running it by his technology, okay? Super stupid. Psalms 2 and 4 said, but the one who rules in heaven laughs, the Lord scoffs at them, man. You know, and he's laughing through us, man. I say the more we investigate this devil, man, the more we should look at this nigga as futile, man. Okay, the more he should become a joke. Okay, and what he's trying to do, man. All right, verse 5. Then in anger he rebukes them, terrifying them with his fierce fury. And that's, see, the Lord gonna stop playing with Esau, man. Right now, this is just the Lord's humor. You know, this is the Lord comedy special. Watching Esau trying to pull this off. Watching Esau trying to be him, okay, with his technology, okay, is you know, is comical. Okay, but then eventually the Lord gonna stop playing with this nigga, and he's gonna rebuke this man in his anger, all right, and his fury. You see, and what he's gonna do, for the Lord declares, I have placed my chosen king on the throne in Jerusalem, on my holy mountain, that's Yahweh Shai. Okay, so the Lord gonna stop playing with this devil. You know, he's gonna make these nations go to war. He's gonna erase America off the map. Yahweh Shai is gonna come back in the midst of this war, all right, and dominate all the heathen, destroy all the militaries of the heathen, okay, and take all the authority of the earth on himself, okay, and then he's going to divide that authority amongst, okay, the first fruits, man, okay. So yeah, that's the point. I believe the point's been made, man. So Lord will, all right, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified. You know, once again, I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to our younger brothers, and peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful of Shalom.